Hi everyone. How's it going today? Oh, bless you. I am going to warn you beforehand that this is going to be a short read today, but I wanted to get you your daily dose of Fablehaven. I've got to go into the school and get some stuff done. Oh, hi Scooty. And so yeah, it's going to be a pretty short read today. But we are in a very exciting place right now, so I wanted to further our adventure. So remember what's going on. Kendra got a pebble filled with the Fairy Queen's light, and it has to be touched to the dark nail that came from the Revenant, and the two items would cancel each other out and hopefully cure the plague at Fablehaven. So all the dark creatures are protecting that. And they're in the middle of a battle with Coulter and not Warren, Patton, and a bunch of light creatures, and there's just a bunch of dark creatures, and this is just this huge battle between light and darkness right now. So the 6 dark dryads approached at a superhuman speed. I'm on page 445. Okay? Low and swift like jungle cats. Beams of blackness rained down from the oncoming dark fairies. The shadowy streaks did not affect Kendra, but Seth yelped as they struck him, darkening his clothes and turning his flesh invisible wherever they struck. Some light fairies feebly rose to intercept the dark ones, but most were swiftly transformed. Run, Kendra, Seth urged, an invisible patch spreading across the side of his jaw. Not this time, Kendra said. The dark dryads were too quick for her to have any hope of escape. The dark dryads closed in fast, reddened eyes glinting, thin lips parted to reveal hideous fangs. A dark dryad snatched Seth, hoisting him into the air with a single arm and plunging her teeth into his neck. He thrashed, but the gray dryad held him firmly, and a moment later, he was invisible. The 6 dryads formed a ring around Kendra, seeming somewhat hesitant to engage her. Kendra held up the pebble threateningly. Wincing, they fell back a couple of paces. Face scrunched into a mask of determination, one of the dark dryads sprang forward, grasping at Kendra. As soon as her gray fingers closed around Kendra's wrist, her entire aspect transformed. Pale, lank hair became curly and dark. Gray flesh bloomed to full health. Looking startled, a tall, beautiful woman staggered away from Kendra, turning to face the dark dryads. Kendra lunged at another dark dryad, swatting her surprised target on the arm as the dryad stumbled uncertainly backward. Instantly, the dryad had fiery red hair, a creamy countenance, and flowing robes. The gorgeous dryad Kendra had first restored tackled a dark dryad, pinning her to the ground. Kendra raced over and patted the dark dryad on the cheek. Suddenly, the dark dryad became a tall Asian woman. Invisible fingers closed around Kendra's wrist, and Seth reappeared. I could have done that faster if you would hold still, he panted, looking unsteady. No time, Kendra said, charging after a 4th dark dryad, feeling almost like she was on a playground. She was it, and this was a high-stakes game of tag. The other 3 dark dryads were now in full retreat. Seth staggered along behind Kendra. The dryad Kendra was chasing kept stretching her lead, so Kendra paused to consider a better move. All around the cart, shadowy fairies were turning huge quantities of fairies dark. Kendra turned her attention elsewhere. Fairies were too small and quick for her to lose time trying to touch them. The good dwarfs had caught up to the skirmish and were using their hammers to drop minotaurs. The dark side had reinforcements as well. Goblins and dark dwarves, increasingly dark fairies, were joining the battle to transform satyrs and hamadryads. Seth grabbed Kendra's arm. Trouble, he said. She saw the problem a moment after he had said it. The fog giant, who had been knocked unconscious, had reawakened and was drowsily crawling toward them. Kendra had no idea how her light talisman would affect him since he was not in a darkened state. As with a goblin or a minotaur, darkness was simply part of his nature. As Kendra started backing away, the giant sprang, diving at her with unavoidable quickness, his huge hand closing around her waist. Blinding light flared for an instant, and the giant flopped away from her, convulsing, unconscious once more, his smoking palms seared and blistered. I imagine she was kind of like a taser. Kind of shocked him. The flash of light left the surrounding dark creatures temporarily dazzled. Kendra dashed to where the darkened version of Broadhoof was trying to sink his teeth into Cloudwing. With a valiant effort, Cloudwing wrenched Broadhoof toward Kendra and she slapped him on the flank. Instantly, Broadhoof was restored. Cloudwing showed Kendra a rapidly spreading maroon wound on his arm and she healed it with a touch. Remarkable, he approved. The fighting continued, but the dark creatures were now doing their best to remain far from Kendra as they relentlessly transformed satyrs, dwarves, and dryads. Hugo had the giant he had been brawling in a chokehold, and the tremendous brute finally collapsed. The 3 dryads Kendra had transformed were helping Patton, Lena, Coulter, and Lizette fight off a group of dark hamadryads. Half of Patton's face was invisible along with one hand. Kendra and Seth raced to help, and the dark hamadryads withdrew, shifting their attention to easier prey. Patton embraced Kendra, instantaneously becoming fully visible. "You're doing well, my dear, but the dark creatures are changing too many of our allies too quickly. We have to get to the tree before no allies remain." "I know the way," offered the first dark dryad Kendra had transformed. "My name is Rhea." "Hugo, Broadhoof, Cloudwing," Patton called. The golem and the centaurs hurried to them. "Take us to the tree. We'll be following Rhea." The 2 other dryads Kendra had transformed resolved to stay behind and help with the battle. Lizette, her autumnal robes torn, opted to accompany Rhea. Broadhoof swung Kendra and Seth onto his back. Cloudwing bore Patton. Hugo picked up Coulter and Lena. "Lead on," Cloudwing proposed. Rhea and Lizette ran in front, with Broadhoof behind them, Hugo on one side and Cloudwing on the other. Broadhoof cantered so smoothly that Kendra had no fear of falling. She held her pebble high, and the dark creatures lunged out of the way to let them pass. Glancing back, Kendra saw the 2 dark centaurs and several dark dryads following them at a distance. Moving with astonishing speed, Rhea dashed into the woods from which the dark creatures had emerged. The trees were dense, but there was little undergrowth. Kendra held tightly to the pebble as tall trunks sped by on either side. Before long, they halted abruptly at the rim of a bowl-shaped valley. To Kendra, it looked like they were peering into a crater. A pool of sludge simmered in the middle of the deep depression, the steaming black surface occasionally disturbed by slow bubbles. The only plant in the rocky valley was a gnarled tree beside the lake of tar. Leafless and contorted, the tortured tree was even darker than the seething sludge. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna have to stop right there. I told you it was gonna be a short one today. And now they've reached the tree. All right. I will see you guys next time. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.